welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a bit of a look at the dwarves that make up the Throngs. And today we're going to start out with lords and thanes. The leaders of a dwarf throng are its lords and thanes. These are the most powerful fighters in the army, fell-handed warriors equipped with the finest arms and armor of the clan's weapon horde. As a rule, dwarf lords and thanes are a grim sort, for they are the leaders of a dour people. Upon their broad shoulders is carried the weight of untold debt, the inherited grudges of a long-suffering and unforgiving race. It is their lot to avenge all wrongdoing to their clan, hold, or race, not just in the present, but also for all time. Failure to redress an injury from antiquity is particularly galling, an act of disrespect to the much-revered ancestors. Lords and thanes are well tutored in the ways of their ancient foes, and must absorb a wealth of wisdom. Luckily, they are privy to the counsels of clan elders, as well as venerable runesmiths and engineers. This sagacity is vital, for by the time their beards have grown long enough to lead. Dwarf lords and thanes must master tactics and maneuver, learning to wield the armored might of their throng as well as they wield an axe and shield. For a thane to progress to become a lord, he must bear royal blood. If a king dies, a lord may rise in succession, or a new kingship may be claimed if the clan retakes an old hold or establishes a new one. All leaders swear oaths of loyalty to a major dwarf stronghold, which, in return, is sworn to the High King of Karazakarak. The High King nominally commands all kings, but in practice this is more a matter of cooperation than of strict abeyance, as dwarfs are proud individuals who rile at the idea of blind obedience. All dwarfs take great pride in their possessions, but none more so than the ruling class. Depending upon wealth or clan, a dwarf lord or thane might be equipped with runic weapons and armor. It is an honor for a dwarf to bear such relics of war, for each item is passed down from their forefathers, an ancient legacy in its own right. Covered in runes and bristling with arcane might, each of the hold's relics has a long history of great deeds and feats of battle. While dwarfs are notably an infantry force, there are a few exceptions among their leaders. Some lords are carried into battle by shield-bearers, stout warriors who heft a shield to serve their liege as a fighting platform. This was common amongst dwarves of the southern holds, and has been continued elsewhere, notably by King Alric Rainulfson of Karakirn. In other clans, especially northern ones, lords and thanes prefer to fight atop oath stones, rocks upon which runes are struck, listing out the clan's honor, or perhaps the lord's lineage or deeds. The stone is a symbol of their homeland, a piece of their stronghold made manifest. Dwarf names. Dwarfs take great stock in names, each clan and hold keeping long and detailed lists, documenting those who live therein. Although there are exceptions, dwarf names typically follow one of two specific patterns. The first is based on the parent's name, usually the father's, by adding son or daughter to the end of the parent's name. Famous examples include Morgrim's son, the son of the former High King Morgrim Blackbeard, or Burlock's son, the son of Burlock, Damon's son, himself the son of Damon. The second method is a title describing an especially dominating feature, such as physical appearance, strength, martial ability, talent, skill, profession, or demeanor. Examples of this would be Thorgrim, Grudge-bearer, or Helgar, Longplates. It is not uncommon for dwarves, over their long lives, to acquire a string of several names. They will begin with a given name, such as Thorg or Balric. This is often followed by the clan he belongs to, so Thorg of Clan Stonehelm, and perhaps a title earned by deed or characteristic, like Shield Splitter or Forkbeard. Finally, there can be titles or ranks for his clan, guild, or duty, such as Thane, Master, or Captain of the Second Deep. So, in full, you might have Thane Thorg Shield Splitter of Clan Stonehelm. Outside of formal occasions, any of these could be dropped for convenience. Master Engineers. Given the number of war machines with which the dwarfs can equip themselves, it is not surprising to find members of the Engineers Guild accompanying a throng to battle. To most Master Engineers, this field work is tiresome, as it takes them away from their forges and workshops and shows them firsthand how their beloved engines of destruction are dragged into position, dented by enemy shot, and invariably aimed in a manner not as fully optimized as would be ideal. As all dwarves revere fine craftsmanship, their war machines are the most polished and best cared for in the world. Treated by their crew with all the respect due a venerable clan member. Nonetheless, even this level of care falls well short of the wishes of the notoriously cantankerous engineers. After a battle, Master Engineers oversee repairs, but during the fight, they are exceptional, if gruff, at directing crews on how to best aim and fire a war machine. Theirs is a skill born of intimate familiarity with the workings of each device. With a glance, a Master Engineer can tell when a bolt thrower is set with too much torsion, or when conditions warrant extra black powder for an organ gun. They are consummate craftsmen, being able to gauge the intricacies of laying the deadliest of cannon shots, or giving advice on how best to carve boulders into the most accurate ammunition for a grudge thrower. A Master Engineer can also direct the rapid construction of effective entrenchments, such as stacked stone walls or dugout gun pits, that offer protection from enemy missile fire to both war machine and crew. Master Engineers are doughty warriors, and while they might be more interested in drafting plans for fortifications or designing new mines, they are more than capable of fighting in the front lines. To protect their precious war machines, they fight with all the determination and grit of their race. Grim the Great. Master Engineer Jorek Grim of the Cragbrow clan was responsible for many of the ironclad ship designs that now steam out of Barak Var. Grim's well-armored fleets have been at the fore of many great victories. It is doubtful, however, that Grim lived to see more than a few of his sea-borne fortresses built during his lifetime, and he certainly never saw his vastly useful steam engines become accepted by his conservative-minded comrades from the Guild. Grim's long tenure with the Engineers Guild ended poorly. He was expelled for his unorthodox, if groundbreaking work, and forced to endure the embarrassing trouser legs ritual as a final indignation before being finally ousted. Runesmiths. Runesmiths work spells with their hammercraft, binding the winds of magic into mighty runes of power. They are a suspicious lot and jealously protect the secrets kept in their anvils and hammers, guarding the knowledge that allows them to make magic items, weapons, armor, rings, and talismans of greater potency than items wrought by any other mortal race upon the world. The ancient guild of Runesmiths is one of the oldest and most respected institutions in all the Karazhan Corps. According to legend, its origins stretch back to the days of Grungni, the great ancestor god of mining, master of the forge, and lord of the runes. The Runesmiths Guild claims descent from Grungni's son. For this reason, the Runesmiths sometimes refer to themselves as the clan of Morgrim, although they are not the only clan to claim descent from Grungni or his many sons. The number of Runesmiths is not very great, and those remaining are related to each other, often in some very remote fashion. Each carries on his direct family's traditions, learning the craftsmanship of blending magic and metal together by use of mighty runes of power. The greatest of their kind are known as Rune Lords. These elder masters do superlative work and are accorded the sort of reverence normally reserved for the ancestor gods. When a runesmith judges the time is right, he chooses a young relative to be his apprentice and reticently teaches him, for an apprentice has to prove his worth to wring out even the most basic steps of the craft from his master. Many powerful runes have been lost over time simply because a runesmith could find no one he considered worthy enough to gain his innermost knowledge. Luckily, unless slain in battle, runesmiths tend to live for a very long time, although they grow progressively more obstinate as they age. Currently, the most prolific of still working rune lords is Thorak Ironbrow of Karak Azul. But the oldest living runesmith is Crag the Grim, master rune lord of Karaz Akarak. Despite being a living link to a bygone era, Crag has grown so stubborn as to be unbearable. In battle, runesmiths aid their side by dampening enemy magic, earthing spells harmlessly before they can wreak havoc amongst the dwarves. They do this in the same manner as they capture the winds of magic to forge magic items, and they often bring along rune-covered talismans to aid in this endeavor. Many runesmiths bear weapons and armor of their own crafting, and they are eager to show their comrades exactly how effective they can be. Whether by some gift of Grungni, or perhaps as a side effect of centuries of beating magical runes into white-hot metal, when a runesmith feels the rage of battle, his weapons and those of friendly forces around him begin to glow and radiate heat as if remembering the forge fires from which they were created. This aura of power has proven effective in helping blades penetrate the armor or toughened hides of any foe. In times of great need, the most powerful rune lords will bring an anvil of doom to battle. The anvils of doom are the most ancient heirlooms of the entire dwarf race. They are the very anvils upon which the rune weapons of legend were forged, and were perhaps the very creations of the great forge father Grungni. The anvils are specially made to attract and hold the winds of magic, arcane powers which can be captured and subsequently unleashed by a rune lord. Separate runes struck in the right order can call upon the different ancestor gods: Valaya for loyalty, Grungni to boost the power of arms and armor, and Grimnir to unlock the energies of fury. Dwarf Warriors. In times of war, the leaders of the clan call the muster, and any dwarfs old enough to fight form together into regiments. Most of the individuals that will answer the call of battle are craftsmen of some sort, stone carvers, brewers, minters, and the like. But once they don their well-forged mail, put on their steel helm, and heft an axe in hand, they leave behind the artisan, turning that same industrious nature to their other calling, warfare. Dwarves make formidable fighters. They are strong and extremely resilient, broad of shoulder and wide of girth. Although by no means quick, they are physically robust and can maintain a steady, plodding pace, marching for days on end despite being loaded down by burdens and heavy mail. When they charge into battle, the momentum generated by their wide, armor-clad bodies is remarkable, hitting the foe with a resounding impact. They have broken many enemy battle lines this way, splintering elven phalanxes, carving through orc formations, and hacking apart the great masses of Skaven that make up their verminous armies. Any foe that has fought dwarfs has quickly learned to respect them. Even the elite troops of other armies have met their match against these warriors. They are grim and determined fighters, unwilling to retreat and able to advance and battle on even in the face of great adversity. Tales abound of dwarfs, hopelessly outnumbered, backed into unfavorable ground, and pressed on all sides, somehow emerging triumphant. Protected by their heavy mail, their skillful use of overlapping shield walls, and finally, by their own tough and obstinate nature, dwarf warriors, units, and armies as a whole seem able to absorb punishing blows that would cause other races to break and flee. With dwarves, such suffering only serves to make them angrier, and with beards bristling and hands clenched around axe hafts and mighty warhammers, the dwarves regroup to charge anew. Their feeble-limbed foes, too worn out and tired at the end to even lift their weapons, are slaughtered, save for those fast enough to flee the iron-shod and implacable advance of the dwarves. And dwarfs are vengeful. Hands that once crafted the most intricate of jewels, minds that once delighted in the simplicity and timeless wonder of an exactly constructed stone pillar, now see only red ruin. Although matter-of-fact in their peaceful pursuits, once a dwarf snaps, his whole life collapses like an arch with its keystone removed. The fury of a dwarf overcome with a grudge hatred is stark and harsh. They are unremitting in their violence, and forgiveness is not in their nature. Instead, they are grown cold, having no more mercy in them than granite. During such periods, even their allies, unless they be barbaric of nature, such as Sigmar in the days of old, will turn their eyes from the cataclysmic and all-consuming wrath that the dwarfs unleash. In all but the richest of clans and holds, a dwarf is expected to supply and maintain his own arms and armor. This is no issue, as most dwarves treat their gear of war as treasured family heirlooms, handing down axe and shield, hammer and mailcoat through the generations, presenting them to a young dwarf when he comes of age. Some clans, such as the Gold Shields or the Iron Hammers, have developed their conventional gear of war to ensure that their regiments are bold and uniform, while others show their allegiances through more subtle colors or symbols. Dwarf Ale. Dwarfs are inordinately fond of ale, which they brew and drink in vast quantities. Dwarf ale is so nourishing that it is possible to survive on it alone for weeks on end. Every stronghold has a store of barrels and takes pride in the unique flavor of its brews. Wars between clans have been started by the mere suggestion that a hold's ale tastes remotely similar to mannish brews, considered watery. After the length of his beard, the mark of any dwarf is the amount he can guzzle, a feat warriors feel improves their battle prowess. And with that, we are going to bring this video to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.